Hello, everyone. This is Will.
This is Alex.
Welcome back to another episode of They Mostly Come Out at Night.
We back!
We back.
Mostly.
Oh my god. What a fucking year, dude. Like, holy shit. We've been put through the fucking ringer this year. Like, good lord. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, we're back to a recording schedule. You know, a lot of shit has happened. It's
Briefly,
fine.
we were.
Yeah, we were. We were back to a recording schedule, and then my fucking basement flooded, and just nothing. Everything went to shit.
We had, our recording studio, quote unquote, had an accident. And then also, I'm in the process of moving as well. So, just kind of both things. Just fucking.
Just everything piled
Boom.
on top of each other, and so we couldn't record for like 2 weeks straight. So we're sorry.
So, both things just kind of. Our ass cheeks were spread wide open and
Yep.
they just railed us.
Yep, I mean that's 2020 for you.
It's-
I mean it's just like it's on brand.
It is on brand.
It really is on brand for 2020.
But we're back.
But we're back.
We got a good one.
That's what's important, and actually not a bad way to start back our random hiatus, because whoever's still joining us, we have a bunch of random hiatuses because shit just happens to us for some reason.
This is what happens when you don't have a dedicated.
We don't have a studio, okay?
We
So
have day jobs.
we just figure it out as we go, okay?
We have day jobs.
We're
Will.
not professional podcasters here.
Yet.
We're niche, fucking small potato podcasters at the moment.
One day.
We haven't blown up yet, so, you know, I mean, we'll figure that out when we get famous, if we get famous. But for now, you're just gonna have to deal with our fucking sporadic ass fucking schedule. We'll try our best, okay?
We're trying.
That's about all we can say right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we're actually starting out with a good one. I mean, not like it's not incredible,
No.
right?
It's no Death Force.
It's not fucking Death Force,
But
but you know, it's not bad. Is it? Well, we didn't have to check the time. I was entertained the whole time. It was fine. Everything was good.
it's fine.
It's fine. Yes.
That's all you can ask for. And
I
honestly,
was decently entertained the entire hour and 16 minutes that this movie is.
it's a nice little start to, October's coming, fall coming.
Fall's here, you know.
It's a good little spooky thing.
Yes.
And I appreciated this.
And some of the stuff actually was pretty creepy in this movie. I'm not gonna lie. Like, there was some pretty creepy images and stuff they did.
Little things.
Now, the movie is House of the Dead.
The.
Yeah, don't get it confused with that fucking piece of shit Uwe Boll film.
No, it's the House of the Dead.
The House of the Dead, which is actually more fitting than the actual fucking House of the Dead movie.
We won't
Let's
watch.
not go
You can
back.
watch that review for our thoughts.
Let's not go back. You can watch House of the Dead review if you want to. That's
It's
the
much
start
better.
of our shitrospective on Uwe Boll. Just go watch that if you want to hear that.
This is much better.
The House of the Dead.
The House of the Dead.
1978.
It's an anthology movie.
It's an anthology. I think our first anthology movie.
It is.
I don't think we've watched another anthology
No, we haven't.
movie. Like, maybe you could say, the Lucifer Complex was... That's
not an
that's
anthology.
movie.
It's a clip show.
He's just watching the past.
It's a clip show. Will.
But yeah, so this is our first anthology movie, and I kind of have a love-hate relationship with anthology movies, right?
Yeah.
I like the concept of anthology movies because, like, my favorite show of all time is an anthology show. You know, Twilight Zone is an anthology show. But there are still some fucking awful episodes of Twilight Zone. Let's not kid ourselves.
Hey, one of my favorites is Twilight Zone and Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah, there's some good anthology stuff, but you're not always going to get winners, and that's the problem with a movie that's an anthology, is you get some good vignettes, but you get some really fucking awful ones too.
Unless you're Creepshow.
Creepshow is the one exception.
Unless you're Creepshow, or another one I always mention because it's deeply underrated.
What, Tales from the Hood?
Tales from the Hood.
Okay, that one, every single vignette is good.
Where you have a director who is in total fucking control over everything, and each vignette is like solid. Like Creepshow, Tales from the Hood. I'm sure there's some other ones, but those are the two that I always go to as like
those are the
consistency.
Those are like the ones that are like every vignette works with the narrative and it works like it's an actual good like story they tell in each of those
Yeah.
parts.
Each one has different themes.
Now, like
Some of them are funny.
a lot of people argue, like VHS is around, and yes, there are some good
There are
vignettes.
some of them.
But it's not all good. Let's
Same
be
with
honest.
ABCs of Death.
ABCs of Death, there was like you have a lot of potential to fuck up, and some of the directors did. It's like
Yes!
it's like if you're a Master of Horror fan, right? Like Masters of Horror is a great
show,
show.
yeah.
Like it's a great show, but some of the episodes are
shit.
just shit. They are donkey shit.
No,
Like,
they're
just
some
awful.
episodes
Some
are.
episodes you just skip because they're so bad. But then there's like a lot of really good stuff there. But that's what you get with an anthology because like you're just getting different directors and different creative minds creating this shit, and it's just like sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah,
And you get like a few minutes to tell your story and it's fine.
and that's it. That's all you get.
But this one was pretty good. I think it's all the same director.
It
in
is.
this one.
It's one director.
It's not like different directors for each one because
No.
this is like early level like fucking like anthology shit.
Dude, this is
And
like.
this is like B movie anthology, so it's not gonna be like it's not gonna be like these masters of fucking like horror movies coming together and like doing an anthology movie.
This is literally a no-name director and like no budget, and it's fine.
And I'm sorry to like kind of like go on this rant, like spend the first like 10 minutes talking about like this kind of stuff, but like it's not like there's not a lot to unpack here.
No, this is very.
It's kind of just a basic horror movie, and it works, and it's just entertaining. Like that's all you need.
That's all you need.
It's just a basic horror movie, and I enjoyed it, and it was just a good time. The whole hour and 16 minutes we watched
It's
it.
only an hour and like 16
It
minutes.
takes like nothing to watch this movie,
That's it. Like it's not 2 hours. It's short.
and you can enjoy it. That's
Yeah.
all I'm saying. So here we go. Let's go into the House of the Dead.
So it starts with you see a guy, and he's like just finished having sex with a woman, and they're just kind of talking, and she mentions like, "Oh, I bet your wife would be angry
Yes.
if she saw us."
So he's like, oh, well, like, now that you mentioned that, I have to go back to my hotel. I have to call her.
So he leaves, gets in a cab, and they're driving around, and he doesn't want to like get dropped off. So
He's like anxious about something because like I think it's like getting late and probably his wife is starting to wonder where the hell he is. So he's getting
why
like,
he's not calling?
that guilty conscience where he's like, fuck, okay, all right,
fucked up.
I gotta figure out like a way to fix this because I fucked up. And he's like, can you drive around for a little bit? No, actually, just let me out here. And it's the wrong spot.
Well, the guy the taxi driver lets him off, and he's like, "Wait a minute, this is wrong." And he calls for the taxi, and they just drive away.
Yeah, the taxi's just gone. So he's like, what the fuck? So he tries to like talk to people and ask where this hotel is, but like no one's talking to him. Everything's kind of fucking dark and like just mysterious. It's constantly raining. And so he goes to hide under this like roof. Like it's a little like a window
It's like in
a building.
It's
So
like where the door is.
he's trying to like escape the rain.
Yeah.
So then it's like an older man comes out and he's like, there's no need for an adult to stand in the rain. Please come in.
And he takes him up to his like this like room, gives him a cup of coffee, and they just start talking a little. He's just like, "Yeah, I'm just in town. I'm here for a plumber's convention. I was just visiting a friend."
Well, and like the older guy seems oddly suspicious because he's like, oh, well, like everyone needs a friend. Like he's kind of like giving that air that he knows more than like,
And if you've seen a horror anthology movie,
you know,
something.
this is our crypt keeper. Like you kind of already established that.
Have you seen Tales from the Crypt?
Yes.
You know what's up.
Because this is a creepy old dude that knows way too much about the guy.
He's an embalmer, Will.
Yeah, he's an embalmer. He's a creepy old embalmer that knows a little too much about the situation. And, he's giving like a little, like the advice he's giving is like a little too on the nose.
Too relevant.
Yes, too relevant to the current situation. So this guy is our crypt keeper. And this
Sums up.
This is our wraparound. This is our glue that holds the anthology together. This is like every anthology thing needs something that like kind of like ties it all
The
together.
wraparound story.
Yes. There's always something that ties them all together.
Yeah.
I don't know if ABCs of Death had it, but VHS did.
No, Beast of Death is just like we're just one after the other.
Yeah, like, because, I mean, it's like the entire alphabet, so obviously they
Yeah.
had to they're just like, okay, let's just go.
But yeah, like in Tales from the Hood, it's these guys trying to rob a fucking funeral home, and the like funeral home director starts telling them these stories, and then you find out that
Like, VHS is like, it's different VHSs that they
Yeah.
find, and like, as it goes through, it's like DVDs, and then,
in the
different things.
Tales from the Crypt movie from the 70s, it's like all these guys, these people, literally at a crypt, like, yeah.
And then, like, what, Creepshow is a comic book.
Creepshow's comic book, yeah, it's like the
Yeah.
kid is like
He's
getting
reading
bitched out
the
by his
comic books, yeah.
dad in the
Yeah.
beginning, like, oh, you're reading this fucking garbage, and yeah, it's because it's adaptations of like old EC comics.
Yes. So, I don't know.
What we're saying is that a good anthology movie,
has something to hold it all together.
it's not just one after the other. Because what's the fucking?
Because there
point?
has to be a reason all these stories. There has to be a narrative that all these stories are given,
Yeah,
right? Because there has to be a reason that we're seeing all these anthologies back to back.
and this one is definitely Tales from the Crypt influenced.
Well, and it's competently made.
Yeah.
It's not like the worst. The acting is not good. It's
Back and forth.
kind of hit or miss, but like at least there's something there.
Yeah, because they basically
So he shows him around basically, and he's like, okay, well, like, let me show you my latest people. And you're like, okay, so what they're going to do is basically go through every single coffin,
Yep.
and every single coffin is going to be
A story.
different vignette, which is exactly what they do.
That's
So
exactly it.
This is our Crypt Keeper.
Yeah.
Yes, like you said, it's very Tales
Tales
from the Crypt.
Yeah.
So he goes to the first one, and he's like, oh, well, like, she was a teacher and like all this stuff, and then like it slowly fades into the fucking our first vignette.
And it's this teacher who is a total fucking dick.
Well, like, so like all the kids are like being all nice to her, and then she's like has this inner monologue where she's like mocking them, and then like there's two just hanging out like drawing a picture on her car, and she like honks the horn and like almost runs them over.
Yeah, and she's just like
She's just this huge asshole.
immediately.
I was like, Jesus, like, why'd you choose to be a teacher if you hate kids this much?
And you immediately know she's a huge asshole.
Well, you know something's going to happen because she's being really fucking mean to kids. And if you've ever watched an anthology horror movie, you kind of know where this is going.
If you've ever watched Tales from the Crypt, you know that a lot of times there's a hint of irony.
It's like in Creepshow, that guy that was mean to the fucking bugs. Look what happened to him.
I love that fucking segment.
It's so great.
But yeah, like, or Twilight Zone does the same thing. I mean, like, if it's a fucking anthology thing worth its salt, it will be something that, like, has that hint of irony to it.
And yes, it's on the nose, but it works.
But it's fun!
Yes.
Because she just comes home and starts making, like, a fucking meatloaf or something.
She puts on a meatloaf, and like weird shit starts happening. Like she'll go.
So knock on the door.
There's a knock at the door. She'll go into another room. The radio turns off. Like shit starts happening, right?
Little things.
So then she's like, okay, well, like the meatloaf's on, so she's gonna go take a shower. So she turns on the radio, takes a shower, and then sees a shadow walk past.
And the radio's off.
Now this is gonna be a quick thing because this vignette is like literally like
Instant.
10 minutes
It's
long.
fucking quick.
It's fucking fast. So she sees a shadow go by, goes back down. There's like a knife in the fucking meatloaf. And she's like, what the fuck is going on? So she goes and checks like the windows.
She closes
and shit.
all the windows.
Radio keeps turning off. Like weird shit starts happening. And then like finally like she closes all the doors. And then finally she like turns back and she sees one of the doors opening. And you're just like, okay, this is literally how fast it escalates. It's literally just like she gets home, everything's normal, and then it just fucking goes to like from 0 to 1,000, just like instantly, where everything just starts like fucking like dissolving. Right
No
in
time
front of
wasted
your
at all.
eyes. So the door opens and like it's just like a bunch of kids in these creepy ass
These
like
creepy fucking
like
face masks.
eyeless fucking face masks.
like clowns and shit.
Yeah.
And there's just a bunch of them, like,
And she just starts screaming at them like, "Oh, I knew it was
Fucking
you
kids.
I knew it was your fucking kids. You fucking stupid pieces of like."
well, because she's like terrified
I mean, it's not that vulgar.
until
but, like,
she sees them.
And then they, to add insult to injury, they fucking take off their masks and they're all like fucking like kind of like deformed and like their like mouths have like weird like
Weird teeth.
like one of them has like 3 teeth and like one like really long jagged one, and they're all making these weird noises and the radio starts going all insane.
And then the fucking the movie goes acid trip because there's like this green light that just starts strobing around
And then they put this like negative filter, but like a Technicolor
when they're
filter
attacking her.
on her, and like it's just a bunch of kids crowding around her, and like basically it's implying that they tore her apart.
Because the segment just ends and the guy's like, the fucking embalmer is like, yeah, it was a little hard to like make her presentable. And
Yeah.
then the other guy's like, Jesus, this is awful. And then like, next segment.
Yep, they just go to the next fucking coffin.
It's, oh yeah, the fucking killer guy. And it's just, it literally just goes into like this guy being arrested.
So it's the guy being taken by a bunch of policemen and like a bunch of news media people.
And they're like, hey, he's got a camera.
filming him. And like they're like, why'd you do all this? Why'd you film all like doing all this and stuff like that?
And then there's like a reporter like later while he's being dragged away being like, why did you murder 6 women? And
like, why did you film it and stuff like that? And we're like, what the fuck? And so like then it cuts to him like staring at a camera, and he's like, okay, well like, she's gonna be here soon, and you know like this will be, you know, blah blah blah. Or
like
whatever.
I'm feeling
like he's basically setting up his scene. So it's a guy. So the woman comes over, and it's like this guy, and he keeps looking at like because he set up a camera in the corner of his home.
yeah, and all the women,
And he like
they don't know that it's on.
he considers himself like a professional photographer.
So he has like an actual film camera
Yes.
in his room.
And so he invites a woman over, and he's
and
like,
it's a blind date.
well, and it's super awkward because he's like, you know, he's obviously there to kill them, but like he's like acting all weird about it, and he's like looking into the camera while he's talking and shit like that. Only one of the women noticed like the camera's on, but
Cause she goes right up to it and she hears it
humming.
fucking humming.
So like it's like a certain series of events where it's like him being weird around these girls. One of them, he shows like a magic trick where he takes off like
She takes off her pantyhose.
She takes off her pantyhose and he chokes her with them. And then another one finds out the camera is live and then chokes her out right away.
And there's one where he stabs her.
Well, yeah, because she's like this rich debutante.
She's about to call a taxi.
She tries to call the taxi, and he like stops her before she can do it. And it's just like him murdering these women on like a home video. I did think it was kind of creepy how he kept like. I think it was a good choice that they kept making him like kind of stare into the camera.
Yeah, like he's playing it up.
Because it made it like this like kind of voyeuristic like snuff film almost, and it was. I
That's
mean,
basically what it is.
it kind of did make it more creepy for me, just because I didn't like how like often he would like look into the camera like he wanted to like see himself on camera. Because like I don't know, like I'm breaking down a B movie horror.
Oh, plus it's like I mean I
but
appreciated that it's like.
But I appreciated that like they kept it kind of creepy, and they actually the kind of bad acting actually like it maybe added to like the absurdity and like the horrific likeness of like what was going on.
I appreciated that it was no edits in the thing. I mean, other than like the little snippets of him being like dragged away.
Well, like because that first death of the girl was like a long take.
It was like 5 minutes
It
or
was
longer.
like 5 minutes, no cutting.
Just the camera in the room recording it, and like all the other ones. I mean, they're shorter, but it's still like unedited,
Yes.
which I appreciate. But yeah, he just murdered these women, and you find out that he got the death penalty. Now he's there.
Yep, and that's why he's in the coffin.
Now the next
one is
nuts.
probably the most insane vignette because it's not horror at all.
No, it's just insanity.
So they go to the next coffin, and he just like he kind of looks horrified at it, and it just starts. It doesn't like the mortician doesn't even fucking explain anything.
It just starts.
It's a guy sitting on a chair, and he's looking at a guy that has presumably hung himself.
And he's just like he gets off his chair, and he starts investigating. Like he looks at his clothes. He looks in his pockets. He looks at there's some like water on the fucking...
he like brushes off his like suit because he finds something on them into a piece of paper, and like all the while these other detectives are
just
watching
watching.
him, and there's this one guy with a big ass mustache.
He has the
that-
fucking Hercule Poirot mustache.
He does, and he has a fucking like like a fucking fedora and shit like that. Like you can tell he's another detective.
And after the guy's done, he just gives the cops this like long spiel about how this like the guy didn't actually kill himself, and he just lays it all down.
Well, he basically solves the entire murder.
He solves
there.
it right there. Tells him like, it was all set up and staged, and it was this guy. Go arrest him.
Yeah.
And then the guy's like, great job. And then you find out that the guy with the mustache is a detective from London.
He's from Scotland Yard.
And they are... So him and our lead in this vignette are like the two best detectives
Like master class detectives.
in the world.
Yes. So we're supposed to believe, like, I mean, and it's pretty convincing that like they are really good detectives. And so they're talking and they're like, well, I'd love to like, kind of pick your brain about something. And like the London guy is being kind of suspicious because he's like, well, I'm kind of looking for a murderer, but I also want to see if
I'm on vacation also.
See if I can get like any tips from you
Yeah.
or whatever. He's like, would you like to meet at dinner? And they go to dinner. And, like the fucking, like the Scotland Yard guy, the mustache guy, he like deciphers the wine and he knows exactly which like kind of wine it is. And they're both proving their mettle as like
It's very
these detectives.
It's very dick measuring.
Yes. Because you can tell they're both like egotistical assholes
about who's number
how
one.
good they are at their fucking job.
About who's number one.
Because they both want to be the best detective ever. And so, there's just this back and forth about them like talking about something, and then the guy gets a letter, and it's like a ransom note.
Well, it just says like, in 3 days, like someone will die, unless you like solve it or whatever.
Yeah, and
Something like that.
There's like all these
Very
like,
cryptic, very vague.
One of the guys like, well, like I have to figure this out. Like I can already tell that it's printed on this kind of paper and this kind of weight and this ink and stuff like that.
And all this stuff, and like the British guy's just like, can I just like, I'll just like watch.
Do you mind if I just like observe you
like, sure.
solving this? And they're like, okay. So is this guy trying to figure out what the hell's going on? And he's like at his lab, and he's like,
and it's like the last. It's like a time jump because it's the last day. It's the day right before the day that someone's supposed to die.
And he's like examining all these letters and everything, and he's like figured out like what newspapers they're from.
But he's still like stumped.
Yes. So I don't know like where like what's gonna happen, but I need to know. And so like it's the day that someone is supposed to die. It's at the detective's house, and the Scotland Yard guy comes in
Because the detective, the American guy, invites him.
Yes.
And he tells him to like sit down on his chair, and he's just like, well, today's the day. And then he just tells him like, I figured it out.
He's like, I figured out what it was.
He's like, see, I know that like the person who's supposed to die is me, and the person who's going to be doing it is you.
Yeah. And basically it's like the whole thing was the Scotland Yard guy wanted to be the greatest detective, so he's going to murder the other greatest detective so no one can fucking like be...
No one else can be the greatest detective.
No one else can be.
And the Scotland Yard guy is just like, yep.
He's like, no one would ever believe that I shot you because I'm going to shoot you with this gun that's not even registered in the United States or whatever.
And he shoots him.
And he just kapows him right there.
And then the American guy is just like, you don't understand.
He's like,
I solved this 2 days ago.
And he opens like a little case, and like the guy just freezes, like the Scotland Yard guy just freezes, and like I'm like, what the fuck just happened?
And then he falls out of the chair.
I thought he like poisoned the drink or something.
I had no idea at first, dude.
So he like rolls down on the ground, and you see blood on his chest, and you're just like, what the fuck? And like the guy closes the little thing.
It's like a little music box.
And the fucking, like, a knife retracts from the fucking chair that the guy was sitting in.
And the guy, the American detective, he reveals that he was wearing, like, body armor. So he takes
I'm gonna let you explain
the Scotland Yard guy's briefcase.
Oh my god, I could not believe this fucking happened.
I was cackling so hard when this happened. He takes the Scotland Yard guy's briefcase,
Oh my god, I cannot believe
puts it down, and starts opening it. And then, I'm not joking, right before he opened it, I'm like, is it a bomb? He opens it, and it's like a little tick-tock, and there's like a stick of
And
dynamite.
it fucking like gets to the final thing and then end vignette.
End vignette, and then the Crypt Keeper is like, yeah, we had trouble like picking him back up because he was a bit blown apart by everything.
He said he like went to pieces over that letter or whatever.
I can't believe
We
this
got
vignette.
our comedy vignette, Spy versus Spy.
This is insanity.
Like they actually did that. It's fucking
They did, yeah.
master detectives going against each other, and they both kill each other.
They
at the
both
end of
kill
it.
each other. I can't fucking believe it.
I thought it was great.
It was great. I mean, it's entertaining as hell.
It was so entertaining. I could watch a whole movie of that.
I was just fucking amazed by the like endless shenanigans at the end.
Well, it's just two egotistical assholes just going toe to toe with each other.
And then at the end, they all die. It's great.
There's even a scene where they like the fucking Scotland Yard guy we forgot to mention, but like he interrupts the guy's work and like annoys the fuck out of him while he's trying to like decipher.
And the guy
this.
just tells him like, "Can you like not interrupt me?" And then he like sits in a fucking creaky like rocking chair.
and like rocks back and forth to make as much noise as humanly
It's
possible.
be annoying, and
It's great.
it's great. No, I enjoyed it.
So then our last vignette, which is
This is
arguably the most confusing one, but I get what they were trying to go for.
Oh, I get it, but it's it's not the most confusing. I will say it's the most like surreal.
It is because like some like really supernatural shit happened in this one, like more so than the fucking mutant kids.
Oh, by far. If you can believe that.
Because maybe in her mind they were mutant kids because she didn't like kids,
Yeah.
but maybe they just fucking had enough of the dickhole teacher,
Of shenanigans.
so they just fucking murked her.
We'll never know.
But this is the like you said, this is the most surreal one in the bunch.
Because this guy
It's
who's
fucking weird, but
he's just like an office worker, and immediately it just shows him like there's a woman talking to him and telling him like, I got all these papers and sheets and blah blah blah, and he's just like inner monologuing about how much he hates her.
he like hates her, and then like another guy invites him to lunch because they're gonna go to a burger place with 23 different flavors of burger.
23 different types of burger, and the guy's like, come along, and he's like, no, and then he's like inner monologuing about how much he hates him,
When he's like 23 different kinds of moron.
and the guy like leaves like, fine, just know you're missing out, 23 different types of hamburger.
I mean,
If only.
I mean, who wouldn't want that?
I'm just saying, if the dude
I mean,
fucking listened.
Dude, it's 23 different types of hamburgers.
I don't know anywhere that does that.
I don't either. I want that.
And if our dude actually went there and looked at it, he wouldn't be in the situation.
If our dude wasn't presumably a gigantic piece of shit, maybe he'd be alive.
Well, don't worry, it gets worse, because he goes to a fucking, like, convenience store or something, buys some shit, and talking to the guy, he's like, gum? The guy's like, what?
He's like, do you have chewing gum? And the guy's like,
no.
No. He's like, you slob? Like, his inner monologue is, like, instantly just calls the guy a slob in his, like, inner mind. I'm just like, this guy's a fucking dick.
The next thing is great, because he just starts walking down the street, and of course the homeless man is like, do you have any change? And he's like, get a job. And
But that wasn't inner monologue. He just said it.
He just straight up said it to him.
He was, like, really rude to the guy and just like, no, and you should get a job.
And then he goes into, like, what is it, the office, I guess?
He goes back to the office, and everything's empty.
Everything's completely empty, and he's like, where is everybody? He goes to, like, the back, and he finds the elevator, and he keeps hearing, like, a noise.
Yeah, and so, like, he looks down this scene. This is the only part of the vignette that I'm just like, that was fucking stupid. But anyway,
Because they did that.
he, like, sees a bunch of garbage on top of, like, one of the elevators in the elevator
It's the
shaft.
floor of, like, the elevator shaft.
Yeah, and so there's a bunch of garbage, and he looks down, and, like, for some reason he trips in, even though he didn't trip on anything.
He's just, like, looking at it, and then he does this facial expression of, like,
Ugh.
and then just
He just falls.
and I could not stop laughing.
And then he like gets up and
his fucking forehead's like busted and bleeding,
well, he like gets up and he tries to open the elevator door that's like to the next floor,
and nothing's
like,
opening.
And then like an elevator comes down, and you think he's gonna get smashed, but he like goes into this room.
The door opens at the last second.
And then like it's weird because he like gets in, but the elevator door closes, and then like he's another door closes, and he's trapped in this little tiny fucking room.
It's like this little cube, and he's in there trapped, and he starts thinking about like all this horrible shit he said to people.
And then like a wall of spikes like appears out of nowhere.
Fucking Indiana Jones trap.
Like, stop us if if this is too surreal, but like so like starts coming towards him, and he almost gets like pokes his stomach, and like he like starts screaming and everything, and then it like finally retracts.
And then he like sits down, and a single bottle of liquor rolls up to him.
Yep.
He started drinking it, and then next thing we see is like he's like passed out with like 5 or 6 bottles.
And then like another one rolls in, and he's like drunk as fuck, like he's all dirty and everything, and then the door finally opens to the outside world.
And he goes out and he's like drunk and disheveled, and then he asks someone for help, and someone just tells him to get a job.
And he walks on, freeze frame, in vignette.
And then the guy's like, but how did he die? And he's like, well, like homeless people, they just die. And he's like, I don't understand.
He's like, well, when you, like...
And then he starts telling him like kind of the moral of each one. Like, teacher's a dick. The fucking, the guy was a fucking killer who hated women. There's the fucking egotistical douchebag detectives. And then finally our guy who just flat out didn't care about anybody.
Yep, he just like was mean to everyone and didn't give a shit.
That's it. And then
he did basically mention that the guy's liver failed eventually.
Yeah,
like he drank himself to death.
Drank himself to death.
Like that's what you're led to believe.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, like all of these people like have done bad things, and like they're just inherently bad people, so they all come to me eventually.
And then there's a final coffin.
And he opens it and it's empty. And the guy's like, well, who's supposed to go in here? And he's like, well, it's supposed to be a man who's infidelitous and, doesn't...
Something else, yeah.
Doesn't think about, like, others or something like that. Like, it's obviously pointing out that it's him.
And the guy's like, I gotta go now. Bye.
A reasonable reaction.
And then he fucking leaves.
And starts running around the town looking for this fucking hotel.
And he just can't find anything, and he keeps hearing, like, footsteps.
That part was creepy because he would run, and then you'd hear, like, running footsteps after him. And you thought... I like the way the movie did this because you thought it was the Crypt Keeper guy, right?
But
it's not. I mean, we figure out it's not, but, like, you think it's the Crypt Keeper, like, coming after him.
Yeah.
To, like, reap his soul or whatever.
Because so far, if you think about it, he's not dead.
Well, and the guy literally didn't kill... That Crypt Keeper didn't kill any of those people.
No.
They kind of killed themselves by their own devices.
So he's not dead yet. So.
Yeah. So anyway, like he runs into an alley and he like kind of like cowers because the guy is fucking chasing after him, and then you just see this like dark figure come up to him.
Well, no, you see the guy pass first.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And you think like, oh, it's just like a pedestrian.
Yeah.
But then that dark figure like goes back in the alley,
and he like appears in front of the guy, and he's like, "Did you think I wouldn't figure it out? Do you think that like
I don't know everything about Maria?"
And you're like, oh shit, so the woman had a fucking like lover,
like man,
like a fucking husband.
And then he's like, you dumb bastard, and he just shoots him.
Just fucking fires at him, and then the next scene is an ambulance coming to pick the guy up. They load him into the back of the truck, and then it like shows the ambulance driver like pulling out, but it like slowly pans over.
And it's the Crypt Keeper.
And you see the Crypt Keeper.
Smiling.
And he's smiling, and the ambulance drives away. End movie.
Good job.
It's not offensive. It's not.
No, it's not.
It's not bad. I mean, it's not like the greatest movie, but like,
no.
Hell, there's worse ways to spend an hour and 16 minutes.
There are many worse ways.
Like, I wouldn't say this is offensive at all. If you want just like a quick horror anthology movie, you could do a lot worse.
There's worse ones out there.
Yeah.
There's better ones, but there are worse ones.
Like, I get what they were going for. They told the story decently. Like, it's not.
It all makes
It's
sense.
just like, I don't know what to say. Like, there's not much to say about this one. It's just kind of like it's a decent movie.
If you want to just have an hour 16 minutes, this is what it is.
Like, I don't think you need alcohol to enjoy it necessarily, but it kind of
It
helps.
might help. You might laugh more.
You might laugh more at some of the more ridiculous things, and you definitely will laugh more at the fucking, like, detective versus
shit.
detective, which was the funniest shit. I did not expect to see that in a horror anthology, but
No.
because that clearly wasn't a horror. They were just fucking dicking around.
Dude, that was just some...
They're like, you need some comedy.
That was some writer going ham.
Yeah. I kind of dug that was like probably my favorite vignette just
That
because it
was.
was so ridiculous. I just loved it because I mean I love Spy versus Spy, so like
Yeah.
that kind of shit, like, it entertains the hell out of me.
Yeah, no, it's very... Yeah, it's very spy versus spy, but detective versus detective in this case.
And the fucking end where they just fucking kill each other is just the perfect way to end that.
Yeah, like, you know...
Their own egos killed each other.
You knew at the end it would... Once it ends, you're like, that's it. That's perfect.
Yep, that is the only way they could have ended.
Yeah. In a
With a
little...
fucking briefcase bomb.
In a little horror anthology.
Yeah. Like, I could watch a whole fucking movie of that, to be honest, but I don't know, like, just, I was decently surprised by this one, because I thought it would be shit, because, like, the acting isn't the greatest and everything, but I ended up kind of enjoying it, and, like, it's just kind of a good way to spend an hour and 16 minutes.
You know what it is? It's fine.
Yes, that's about it. That's about all you need.
What would you give this on Shitty to Pretty?
I don't know. I might go middle of the road. Like, to be honest, I mean, it's not like. Are we going out of 5 or out of 10? I always forget.
10.
I might give it just a 5. I mean, it's not like.
Okay.
It's not. I don't know. It's not like a 2 or 3 status. It's not like a 6 or a 7. It's kind of just like a 4 or a 5, somewhere in there. I think 5 is a good place to put it for me,
Okay.
though.
I'll give it a 6.
You gonna give it a 6?
I'm going to give this on a slight curve.
Because of the detective thing?
No, it's just... I mean, here's the thing. This is the thing. There's no fucking money behind this fucking thing. There's no recognizable actors in this. This might have been shot on like a fucking week.
Yeah, that's true.
And despite all of this, like, I didn't hate it. There's no vignette that annoyed me. It was all fine and dandy, and honestly, just for the strength of the fact that, like, it was consistent, I give it a 6.
That's fair. I think I'd still give it a 5 just because
Yeah.
it's kind of just like...
Like, I can't give it higher than that just because, like a 7 would get to, like, oh, like, I'd watch this again, maybe.
Well, and like a 7 would maybe give you the idea that maybe one of the vignettes was really good.
Or you're like, hey, you can recommend this to just, like, anybody on the street.
Right, like, go watch it. But I wouldn't recommend this to anyone. Like, I mean, I'd recommend it
If
to
you're
some
in this
people.
niche,
If you like horror anthology movies and, like, B-movie horror anthology, yeah. But, like, that's
Your
that's
average
a really
normal
fucking
person?
niche thing.
yeah.
Like, normal people are not going to enjoy this film.
I mean-
I think normal people would probably enjoy some of it.
They might, but it's one of those things where, like, it's not a movie that you can just be like, to anybody, you can just tell them, like, yeah, just watch it. It's
Yeah.
good.
And it's definitely not going to give you, like, the heebie-jeebies.
No.
But, like, there is some creepy imagery, which I think earns
There's
it.
some creepy touches.
There's some creepy touches, and there's that fucking hilarious vignette, which earns it kind of just the middle of the road for me.
Yeah, they just stuck that funny one right in the middle, and
I liked that. I thought it was great. But, like, all in all, just fine.
it's fine.
It's not offensive. It's just there.
It's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, that's it. This is a shorter review, but, like, there's nothing else there.
Honestly, yeah,
It's just a quick anthology movie.
it's a quick, fun little time. That's all it is.
So, yeah, go watch if you want to.
It's on
It's on
YouTube.
YouTube for free. So
There's multiple
anyone
copies.
can watch it. You don't need a streaming subscription.
There's multiple copies.
Just go on YouTube and search The House of the Dead,
1978.
1978. Don't search House of the Dead because you're going to have a bad time if you watch that one.
Do not watch.
You're going to have a way worse time if you watch that one, okay?
No.
Do not watch the Uwe Boll one. Just promise us that it trust us when we say it's going to be a fucking horrible time if you watch the other one.
We suffered enough.
Yes. We don't need to talk about it anymore. Just go listen to our review if you really want to know how we feel about that movie. Spoiler alert, it's not good.
Spoiler alert, we don't. We don't feel.
We think it's fucking trash. But, yeah, I don't know. Like, is there anything else to say about this, The House of the Dead? I mean, it's just
No.
your basic movie.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
So, yeah, that was The House of the Dead.
Good job.
We're gonna try and stay on track.
Yeah,
okay?
I don't see anything.
We're finally back to normalcy. Hopefully, please give
no
us
more
no more shenanigans. No more fucking
2020 bullshit.
No more bamboozle, please. I just want a fucking just a month of just normal shit happening, please, for the love of God.
Nah, we are. There's nothing coming up, so we're good.
We're good. I don't know when our next live stream is going to be. We'll probably announce
It should be
it
next
soon.
month.
Yeah, I think it's going to be next month. It's not going to be this month because we've had a rough month.
We'll get back to the movies for this month.
It's been a fucking month. We're going to do a couple more movies.
We'll plan one for October.
We'll do an October one. Maybe we'll do like horror games or something. We'll like figure it out. But
that's 90% of what
I know we barely play action games, but like still,
most of the shit is fucking bad horror
it's
games.
just bad horror games. Every once in a while, we'll play a bad action game, maybe a bad racer, but like it's mostly horror games that are just completely awful.
Just incomprehensible bullshit.
And it's all the fucking same. Just walk down corridors until something spooky happens.
Until something spooky happens in a game over screen.
Yeah.
Boom.
But yeah, so I mean, just anticipate October because September's been a fucking hell of a month. And we're not gonna do a live stream.
Nah, not this month.
But yeah, we're back.
We are.
And we plan to stay back. Banking on nothing happening.
No,
so
that's fine.
For They Mostly Come Out at Night, this has been Will.
This has been Alex.
And we will talk to you all later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.